Hello, party people. Welcome to another late Sunday night, and it is Jesse Swift and Sean Wingblade at our Sunday Speakeasy, talking about whatever, whenever, and however. It's pretty much the show in a nutshell. I have a cat that's trying to ruin everything. Did you see that tail? It's just like an inch of a tail. It's like
the tail just comes in.
Yeah, it was just this little side profile thing. Anyways, man, it feels like it's been 7 days.
It has been 7 days since our last show. It's been a relatively quiet week. We had a new movie come out.
Yeah.
Other than that,
yeah.
I guess. Well, I guess there was
like
a few
2
trailers.
weeks old now. So.
Is that the new movie?
That's the newest movie, I think. Right.
Yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only thing the internet's talking about right now.
No controversy was ever seen
with haters.
Hater raid. Well, yeah, as you saw on the scrolling banner, guys, we are really trying to bump up that audio podcast. So check that out on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Music, and that good stuff. Because do it.
Yeah.
Drinking anything tonight, Sean?
I'm almost finished with the full bottle of wine.
Ooh, just bring the pineapple truly back because we still have this half drink box from our wedding.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Wait, half a box of Truly from the wedding? You haven't? I feel like that's an easy downer.
Well, it's like a box and a half, I guess. Just partial boxes. It's a mixed thing of. I don't drink that much. I drink. Yeah. But anywho, last time we had a speakeasy, it was actually Halloween, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a week ago.
What's horrible is I didn't share Halloween pictures, which we have. I only just brought one on here, but we're Shaggy and Daphne.
Aww.
Look at that. Look at it with Scooby and Scrappy here. She's a much more attractive Daphne than I am Shaggy, but I was looking pretty homeless there, so I think
you're equally as Shaggy as she is to Daphne.
Mm-hmm.
Did Scrappy try to take over on whatever monster hunt you were on?
Yeah, we couldn't find Maverick for a little while, and it turns out he was hiding inside of Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't seen that movie. I'm sure that's a reference.
Oh my god, dude.
It's been a while.
Scooby-Doo is one of my actual favorites because it is a cinematic masterpiece. And speaking of cinematic masterpieces, we do have our first guest on the show tonight, and that is Tony Award winning. I'm going to keep saying that because it feels as good to say it, I'm sure, as it does to win it. Those have to be on equal playing fields. And drum.
A Cinna Maxwell masterpiece.
A masterpiece.
Listen, there is more to me than just having won a Tony.
Don't lie.
I also won a GLAAD Award and a Dramadesk.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I am a human. I have feelings. How are you guys tonight?
Doing pretty good. Sean was like, Maxwell wants to come on. I was like, isn't it fucking 2 a.m. over there?
Haven't I also been on the show 2 or 3 times already before?
Okay, yeah, that was Sean's point. And I was like, yeah,
I'm always up this late. This is like lunchtime for me.
I was like, yeah, he was on her first show. I'm pretty sure it was the first one, second show,
and I was on the one that Mara and Dan were on.
Yeah.
With one comes another, and we are unraveling a mystery here, and that is, we already know Grogu's daddy is Mando, but here is Grogu's mom.
Grogu.
I just really love the Spirit jersey.
I have that Spirit jersey too. I actually folded it and cleaned it, put it away today.
It's actually like kind of cold in Florida, so I was like, man, I'm gonna put on sleeves and things. Ugh.
It's
Ugh.
currently 45 here, and I have the window open, which I was going to shut. But
45
feels-
in
it feels
California.
good.
That's like an ice age.
It is 48 here. It's colder in
it's-
California than it is here right now.
Honestly,
Mhm.
it's November and he's in Sacramento. That's normal.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
41 beaches.
That's legit. Like I'm very, very used to the Sacramento Davis area in cooler weather.
Yes.
It's kind of funny. We're like all over the states, but we're all within like 9 degrees of each other. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often.
It's that time
No.
of year. It's odd.
Let's see. What's the temp in Orlando? I mean Orlando. Well, where I am, it's 55. There you have it.
But it's probably humid. It's always humid. That's all I know.
Oh
about
yeah,
Florida.
which makes it even worse. What?
Yeah.
Bleh.
What?
Yeah,
But I
what?
do have a map of UC Davis on my wall.
Oh, that's cool. I've been there.
Yeah. Go Ags, etc. So forth.
We had to drive there. My cat got a scratch on her cornea, and we went to like 3 or 4 different cat hospitals around that
Oh.
dealt with.
Did they refer you to the vet hospital?
Yeah, exactly. So we had to drive there 3 times a week for like a month straight, just to get checked, until they finally were like, all right, here, we got choices. We could take it out, we could euthanize her, or we could just give these drops and say good luck. But it's like a 10% chance. We're like, let's try the drops, and it worked.
And they work.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
Amazing.
we had to give her eye drops every 4 hours for 2 weeks straight.
Wow.
And just to save her eye. And now you can see, like, if you look at her, you can see there's a very cloudy eye with a big scar across it.
Oh my goodness.
It was
Yeah,
tough.
I mean,
It was tough.
to say Davis is one of the best places in the nation for veterinary anything,
Yeah.
it's an understatement. It's literally
yeah.
the #1 vet hospital in the nation.
Yep.
So
They say the kid-
nerd, random ass nerd things. Amber knows. Thank you.
Don't mind me. I was just sort of massaging my jaw on your program.
That's fine. As long as that's mostly what you massage on this channel. It's not one of those kind of shows.
No, not on YouTube.
Not until after
mean, it is-
Teamwork release.
That's-
It is 2 a.m.
That's the Speakeasy After Dark.
Ooh,
We switched to a
Ew.
different tube for
Well,
that show.
that's
Yeah.
on Pop TV.
it's been after dark for about 6 hours here.
That's
Yeah,
the
it got
first
dark
one.
here at 4:45 p.m. today.
Disgusting.
That's about right.
But that means it's now going to get light at 4:45 in the morning.
Yay!
Yeah.
It'll probably be light when I'm still up tonight.
My kid has soccer practice. It starts at 5:30 to 7. I'm like, how
In
are
the
you gonna
morning?
have no and
Oh,
at
okay.
night? But how are they going to practice tomorrow?
Are there not lights
I
upon the
guess I-
field?
No, it's at an elementary school. Like,
Oh well, you turn
Yeah,
on the cars
field.
and
I guess so. Yeah, we'll have to park
Headlights?
on the grass and just show our lights.
sugar, butter, flour.
I got it stuck in your head.
Watermelon
always-
sugar.
It's always stuck in my head.
Sugar.
Speaking
butter,
of watermelon sugar, has everybody here seen Eternals?
Uh huh.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I'm going to pop this thing up here, unless Sean already knows what I'm about to do.
I was going to say,
I know
do
what you're
I have-
doing.
Do I have a spoiler thing?
Yep, yeah, we got that one that you. And this is not even going to be possible spoilers. We're just going to talk spoilers.
Possible spoilers?
No,
spoilers.
spoiler. There it is.
It's
right
a
there.
straight up spoiler.
We're just going to have a spoiler conversation. I was going to save it for the end. I was going to kind of go with the flow and see how things go, but I'm feeling just
Mhm. Like a
talking about this movie.
Maxwell is licking all the letters. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Uh huh.
Stop it, you're spoiling it. Uh,
This will be the third show in a row I've done tonight talking about Eternals.
burnt out yet?
No.
So far, the only thing I've done is my letterbox and an audio review. If you guys don't know, when it comes to our reviews and reactions, I like to, after seeing a movie, do a review that night, but it is only on our audio channel. So you can go over there and check it out. We have Eternals and Last Night in Soho and Dune are all fresh out of the theater, spoiler-free reactions there. So if you don't want to be
Bagpipes.
spoiled, do that. Oh my god, sexy, sexy bagpipes. And
Dune gets bagpipes out of 10 from me.
that's perfect. What instrument out of 10 do you give Eternals?
Melodica.
Okay. All right. All right.
I don't
fair.
know enough.
I happen to have a Melodica in my closet, so I
Is that
do.
the only thing you have
Is
in your
that
closet?
is that a walk
Maybe.
in your pocket and a melodica in your closet?
Yes.
And is your melodica happy to see me?
It depends which size hose I affix upon the keys.
All of that sounded dirty.
That's the point.
I'm just curious going around the table. I mean, it's very basic. If you want to do another rating, you can, but I'm just kind of trying to get a rough idea of how everyone felt about the movie. Me and Sean have talked about a little bit, but other than a Twitter reaction here and there, Amber and Maxwell, I really don't know your feelings.
So I said this on the Unwind earlier, and I obviously will say it again. The more that I watch Easter egg wise and review wise, the more I realize how much I liked it. Like, so my liking went up. At first, I was kind of like in this weird, I loved it, but I also just liked it camp. Like, as a movie, I loved it. If as an MCU movie, I was like, I just liked it. It was okay. Because it didn't feel like it fit into the full scope of what the MCU is. But, taking into consideration that there are a lot of movies in the MCU that kind of do their own thing until suddenly they don't anymore. They suddenly fit into everything. I was kind of like, well, I don't know how I feel about this. Kitty.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just okay. So I just want you to know the window's behind the computer, and he walked down to walk in front of the computer and then go back behind it, back to the window.
That is a thing that my cat tends to do.
I'm like, why you really have no need to do that. Well, I think that's very well put. And I think
I try to be eloquent with it.
Well done. I think this is a movie that benefits from rewatching. I've only watched it once, but I have been talking about it nonstop since seeing it. And it is similar to kind of what you said. The more I sat on it and thought of it, because I pretty much loved it coming out of it. But I think Lauren, my wife, loved it maybe even more than I did. So we started doing it's been a long time, if ever, I've had this kind of conversation about a Marvel movie where we really started doing character dissections and we really started looking into symbolism and we really started diving into the story instead of just being like, oh my gosh, Endgame, it was different. It was a completely different experience, much more akin to a Dune conversation. I was a big fan of Dune, and when people, dense has been the word of the day for the last month when it comes to these movies, and I would say that in a little bit different of a way than Dune, it was that with the lore and with the character moral dilemmas and things like that. It's something we've never seen before. And even though people were saying that weeks ahead of time, I still think a lot of audience members went into that and they're like, that's not my MCU. That's not what I wanted. And I think if you haven't seen it yet, go into it. Just take it as what it is, because it really, I think, exceeds exceptionally well in exactly what Chloe Zhao set out to do. I don't think there's a lot of shortcomings in her directing or storytelling. I think that it expands the MCU without being overly beholden to it. There's a lot I can say, but I just want to get a little bit of my piece out there. I want to know what Maxwell thought about the movie.
Yeah, it's funny. I think Amber and I are very much on the same page because I actually tweeted earlier tonight. I'm about to do the second show where I'm going to talk about it, and I find that the more I talk about it and think about it, the more I like it. Undeniably, I think the movie's a bit of a mess. It's long. It's a lot of movie. It's trying to accomplish a lot. It has a complicated structure insofar as a superhero or Marvel movie goes. It has a lot of new characters, and even though it's 2 hours 37 minutes, some characters get shorter shrift than others. And there are a few elements that I wasn't crazy about, but it's operating on a more thoughtful level than most MCU movies. I like to say it's sort of is a deconstruction of the myths of the superhero tropes, and in that regard, it has something in common with Watchmen, something in common with what Zack Snyder tried to do with some of his DC movies, and depending on your opinion, did well or not. And to that point, I read an article with Chloe Zhao where she basically said the movie that was the biggest inspiration for her on this was Man of Steel, which I know Sean loves. And I actually turned to my friend I saw it with after and said, this sort of feels like the MCU's take on like Superman Gone Bad a little bit. I think, and I said this not on the Unwind, but on the podcast I recorded, that as opposed to the villains being interesting or compelling in this movie, what's so compelling is the conflict that arises between the various members of the team and how they all have different opinions about whether they should be beholden to their mission or to the greater good of humanity. And in that sense, it sort of feels like a Greek myth where you have these larger than life god-esque characters sitting around a table discussing the value and merit of human life. And in all of those ways, it's a fascinating, really thoughtful movie. I sort of wish certain elements of it coalesced more. I think some of the individual parts are stronger than it is as a whole movie. But still, anyone saying it's the worst MCU movie, I just don't grasp that. Because even from like a filmmaking point of view, from an intellectual point of view, it has so much more going on than some of the lesser MCU movies.
Yeah, there is somebody very well known in our space that I was watching their review, and it was just about 8 minutes of them crapping on the entirety of the movie. I was like, wow, this is a rough take for me personally. And then he just capped it off with, this is my least favorite MCU film. And I was like,
does that person rhyme with Fan Laurel?
Something like Fan Laurel. Yeah.
I watched that too, and I was like, huh, okay, all right.
Yeah. And then
Yep.
I heard about the review, so I didn't go watch it.
This is not all right. This is not the gossip circle. I mean, it is the gossip circle, but it's not the personal gossip circle.
Well,
so I will reel it in a little bit, but I was
with all due respect, everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
Absolutely,
of course.
It is
and nobody's gonna bash anybody else for how they feel. It's really hard as a big fan of the MCU to see somebody whose opinion I respect so much say, hey, look, this was trash. And I'm like, oh, no, don't tell me that, because I've been looking forward to this movie. And
if one more person makes the joke, it's like, oh, it's good that they called it Eternals because it felt like an eternity. I was like, I'm going to go around dick punching people because it's the dumbest shit.
That was the first time I heard that joke, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely I want to invite our next guest on. I had a point. I lost the point. Maybe it'll come back.
Yay.
I'm going to invite the guest, do an introduction, and then Sean, you're going to go with your thoughts here. But first time on the Flick and Reel channel, network, space, and things is Robert from the FCL, I believe. Adams is the last name. Is that right?
Robert Adams.
Oh, yeah, cool, great. I'm doing awesome.
Shows how.
By the way, I believe that they called it Eternals because that movie felt like it. And never mind.
It was so nice having you on the show.
And today, Robert got dick punched.
Oh, now I remember my quick point I was going to make. Isn't it ironic that?
Don't you think?
I was going to say the same thing.
It's a little too.
Everybody get out.
And I really do think.
The internet exploded or imploded, and everyone just went after Brie Larson when she's like, hey, there's too many like 40-year-old white movie critics reviewing these diverse films. And then Eternals comes out, and all of the white stereotypical 30, 40 something male critics reviewing the movie, it gets 48%. I was like, listen, I'll take 70. I'll take 80. It's now sitting at 48. And I was like, this is garbage. Like, not this film, but this take. Because it's like you get thumbs up or thumbs down, right? So that means you literally hate it enough that you're like, I do not recommend people seeing this film. I'm like, that, like even Venom, which I think is kind of hot trash. I'm like, yeah, go see it. It's fun. Whatever. It's not for me, but if you want to go watch it, I'd still give it a thumbs up.
Listen, I could go in a diatribe about why I think the system Rotten Tomato uses is deeply, deeply flawed, and the way that people in the film space use it as a be-all and end-all for the quality of a movie is hugely mistaken. But
Right, but it gets all the attention. Like the
It
articles
does.
come out, the news get out, and so then we have to keep addressing it because that is how the media does.
Write a damn thesis. You're
Not-
very good at ripping shit apart, so do it. Why not?
Not to hurt your feelings more, but currently Let There Be Carnage has a 59%.
Oh, I already know.
It is
I already know this is
so-
one of the
so-
lowest. Like,
So much worse.
For people to say that, I found Eternals to be so intellectual, and
Yeah.
it was a beautiful intellectual morality film.
and even
like-
if it doesn't succeed on every level, which for me it did, but like even if you don't think it does, it tries harder than so many other comic book films. I keep skipping over Sean. Sean, you're supposed to get to your basic opinions about
Oh, sorry,
Eternals.
go.
Please go. So that we can go onto our diatribes and start talking spoilers and all that stuff. And then we'll also get thoughts from Robert here. And then we'll get into what we're talking.
So I'm not over the moon about it, but I definitely didn't hate the movie. I liked it. Loved it. It's mid tier, mid to higher tier for the like on a list of the 26 movies now. I thought that they could have edited it down and made it a little tighter, and maybe that would have helped with the run. It obviously would have helped with the runtime, but maybe it would have helped with not feeling like it was so long, because that was one of my gripes, was that we saw the same scene over and over again where they're like, let's go on the mission to find the person and explain everything, and let's go on the same mission to find the next person and explain everything again, and they just did that a couple too many times. But something you said was that it was them contemplating life. It was like like Greek mythos, like god mythos and stuff, and contemplating everything. And that might be the best part, because it wasn't just black or white. Like, we're the heroes, let's save the day. No, it was them actually thinking about, like, is this the right thing to do? Is this what we're meant for it to be? It was more contemplative and Amber, what you said, more intellectual. And like that hits on a different level. And I want to think about that more on a rewatch, instead of going in like a comic book movie, going like, all right, superheroes,
It's much more
boom,
of a
boom,
character
boom.
study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, and that could go back to maybe, and I'll be curious to look it up, why some people like or hate Superman Returns, which is much more of a character study instead of an action movie, despite the Kevin Spacey of it all and other things. So I'd be interested. I think this might sit better on a rewatch when you know what to expect and you can frame your mindset around it.
Yeah, and
Instead
I
of
think
going in thinking that it's going to be Shang-Chi or another Black Widow.
this isn't my horn toot, but I think a lot of people had to marinate to get into the mindset. And I think that I listened to enough reviews that I got to go into the movie kind of more ready for it. And that allowed me to really love it for what it was. Robert, I see a little something in Streamlabs, but we're going to address that after your take, buddy. Go.
I hated the movie. What a piece of garbage. No. So the movie was just a lot of exposition. My thoughts, even hearing y'all talk about it now, something else I thought of is in regards to the runtime. The longest runtime MCU movie is Endgame. That's like at 2.5 hours roughly.
That's
It's
over
3 hours and 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's
3
like
hours. Okay.
302 or something. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like that at all. I think everybody has said that. This one's like 2 hours and 18 minutes?
I think
238.
237.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the one that I thought of earlier.
Endgame had a lot of benefit of
Mm-hmm.
10 years, 11 years of exposition.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering
Like
with
stretched
in
over.
regards to making this is they're like, okay, well, Endgame was like over 3 hours. Let's do another movie that's like 2 hours and 30 minutes, completely full of people you've never heard of. Like,
For me, I think if you
where was
start
the
cutting at
business
it,
decision?
I think if you start cutting at this movie, it absolutely falls apart. Because I think it is thick and dense, but it, to me, felt like, even though I could feel how long it was, for the story and for the characters, I was like, even if it means sitting here another 30 minutes, I could use 30 more minutes of these characters because it's in a introduction to them. And unlike Guardians, a lot of the characters are really given to you at surface level. Like you get to know Peter Quill, Drax is a joke. You know that like Gamora is a warrior. Groot and Rocket. How much depth do we get in the Guardians? We don't. Eternals was attempting to, like, my wife and I fell in love with each character, and we can give like at least 5 reasons offhand why we love that character, why we're excited to see more of them, and how we got emotionally attached. And what surprises me is a lot of people saying that they didn't feel any attachment. I was like, I'm sitting next to my wife crying 3 times watching this movie to characters she's never met. So I just think it's a lot about like how the movie resonated with you. And I think I was telling Sean this. I think the first 20 to 30 minutes really are going to like determine your experience with the film. Like, are you locked in or are you waiting for something to happen? And I think a lot of people go into this movie waiting for things, and you're halfway through still waiting.
And like something to bring up, like it all comes down to what is your connection to these movies? Do you connect with the characters or do you just want the action? Because that might also be a big thing, because, you know, let's be real, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but a lot of people don't go to Marvel movies for like, you know, introspective, deep, intellectual moments. They go to Marvel movies for bam, boom, pow, and like comic book.
That's why I go to for the deep, like intelligent thought. And
I just quick sentence. I want to say I'm very surprised by the difference in reception between Dune and Eternals, because I had very similar experiences to them.
Yeah,
and I'm like, they're both dense, long,
right.
slow, not heavy on the action, and they're thinkers. And then Dune was more like, it was very well received through Rotten Tomatoes.
So
and stuff
the
like
question
that.
on that: had you seen the original Dune, or had you read the book before?
Both.
Okay, so you knew what you were going into before the movie started. Yeah. What about Eternals? Did you know anything about the comic book history of the Eternals?
Like, I would consider myself a pretty good comic book fan, but source material, I lean towards DC. I do not have a film bias at all, but it's just I read more DC comics.
So I'll tell you exactly what the difference was. The comedy. That was the difference between the two, because I agree, they were both epic scale, visual, fantastic. All the actors killed it. Everyone did their job accordingly. But the comedy that comes with the Marvel movie, I think, will help audiences enjoy themselves more. Versus Dune was very like solemn and, in a way, one note. And I don't mean that in a deterrent, but it was very deliberately paced, and there wasn't a lot of comedy other than literally one joke
we saw in the trailer.
Jason Momoa. Yeah. So I think the comedy of the MCU in general, because they always do a great job with the subtle comedy they do, and there was quite a lot of comedy in the movie, like there is in any Marvel movie. And I think that's the difference when you're saying what was the difference between Dune and this. I think that was it.
Well, here's the reason I'm going to bring it up here. 1 second.
Did y'all know who Harry Styles was playing in the mid-credit scene?
It got spoiled for me like 2 weeks prior.
But I mean, do you know of that character, who that character was?
No.
I've heard of Star Fox, and I knew he was the brother of Thanos. I didn't even know his name was Eros, and I didn't know much more past that. I did know that he looks humanoid and Thanos looks the way he does because he's like partially deviant. That was the extent of my knowledge with that character.
You know what Star Fox's powers are in the comics?
He drives an X-Wing, and he was a badass N64 game.
And he could do a barrel roll real good.
He has the ability to, like, specifically in this example, he has the ability to talk to women and persuade them to do whatever he wants.
Well, it's not even just women. He can access the pleasure port, like sensories. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So Dune, 83% on critic, and then 90% on audience, and then you're looking at Eternals, which is 48% on critics, and then I think it's 81 now. So yeah, it's 48 and 81, and so that's why I was like, are they that different of a cinematic experience.
I feel like there's so much the same, just like you said. Now that we've started comparing them, like you're sitting there slugging through the movie, and like there's always a moment that catches you. And I think,
And at least Eternals is I'm defending Dune most of the time, but Eternals is, even though it leaves off like where they can go next, it's more of a complete story than Dune is.
I mean, for what it's worth, I think Dune is a more accomplished film. I think it's quite a bit better.
I just think
Not
this is a
to
vast
impugn
difference.
Eternals.
right?
Eternals was a comic book that not many people had heard of before, much like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
we can talk box office though, because sometimes it doesn't really matter what Rotten Tomatoes says because Eternals is more than doubling Dune's opening weekend. But that's because Eternals isn't on Disney Plus.
Right, and it's a Marvel movie. They're always going to do at least fairly well.
But Dune deserves to do at least 70 as well. But
I mean, but there is that comparison where you're kind of strolling through, and everything kind of starts with the extrapolation. You start learning about the characters and what's going on, and you get a little bit of background of the story. I mean, I think the only difference is that you're stopping through time in Eternals because you have to go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards to get all the story.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, by the time you find out how Ajax died and you get Paul inhaling the spice on the planet's surface, I'm like, well, this is where everything really starts. That's where we are. And it's probably about the same time, generally speaking, into the movies. It's just something.
Says Dune doesn't come out until December, so I haven't seen it. But from the reviews I'd heard of both, they seem similar paced films to me. Yeah, I'll say one thing I like about Eternals, utilizing the flashbacks and things, is a lot of times when I think I might have a problem with a movie, I try to imagine how it could have been done differently and would that have been better or worse. If you did the story in a linear fashion, I think this movie would have felt incredibly front-loaded and to its detriment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you would definitely be waiting for them to get to the point. And I feel like this one was able to pepper the point in throughout the film that way.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Well, I like Man of Steel did it too, and for me, I liked that also.
Mm-hmm. You can definitely see tinges. I didn't know she had compared it to Man of Steel, but that's how I felt in the moment.
I think to a certain extent, people are always going to view comic book movie, some people, as less than an epic sci-fi film by one of the, most widely regarded directors of recent time. Even though Chloe Zhao just won the Best Director Oscar, it's still a Marvel movie, and there's a lot of people who just look at that as what it is, right?
And to one of the most epic novels of all time, and book series of all time versus a niche comic series.
I do think Dune is better, but there are comparisons between the two that are apt.
Yes, we are, Rachel. Yes, we are.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
and no shocker here because we do this every Sunday. Why? Because my schedule is kind of dumb. I mean,
it's 2:30 here.
It's 2:36 in the morning.
You guys are up 3 hours later than me, and I've yawned way more than you have already. I'm tired.
Hey,
I keep counting it. I'm just like,
and I love the outlook.
And then you yawn and made me yawn. I'm like, no, stop it.
I'm gonna do it.
Y'all could all yawn, and I won't yawn.
How was your burger, by the way?
It was good.
Quick right turn
I had
here.
Spaghetti for dinner.
Round the table. Does everyone have their favorite Eternal picked out, or would you need to think about it for a second? Maybe a top two.
I do have mine picked.
I have a top two.
I have a top two.
I have a top two.
I don't have to go last, but I definitely can't go first. So if Maxwell and Amber are ready, you guys can take it to me.
On three. Ready?
Ladies
1,
first.
2.
That's awesome.
Cersei and Kingo.
Who?
I love
Kingo?
them. Cersei.
Oh, Cersei. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I mean,
I gotta be honest. Looking at Lauren, well, we all do or should. Looking at Lauren when Cersei turned the deviant into a fucking tree and she went fuck, like in the theater.
Top two for me, Cersei and Druig.
I do like Druig. I think he would be my number 3.
Druig is a secret king.
Nobody's here for Sierra Mist. Sorry.
Oh,
Fresca gone and messed stuff up real bad.
Thank you,
Nice.
Dwayne.
Robert, do you know yours?
yeah. I would say it's also down to 2, Kingo and Sprite. I actually really like Sprite in this.
Our little jealous turncoat.
This is one of the points I want to make, though, is like I think there's an argument to be made of any of the Eternals being your favorite.
Yeah.
The only one that I never hear is Ajax, and I get that because I think out of anyone, she gets the shortest end of the stick.
She
Yeah.
didn't have much
She
screen
does.
time, and she didn't really do anything
She did,
except just be the leader,
right?
And
I mean,
talk to the Celestial. That's about
I
it.
can safely say though, she had like one of the best moral compasses of the entire crew because she was already off board with it. She was like, "No, we love this planet. We're gonna save it." And then she's like, "Well, muck duck, done."
Well, to be
Bye.
fair, a lot of the other Eternals would have been off board with it anyways if they ever had been notified that that was the plan.
Mhm.
But
I also really like Fastos too. I forgot about Fastos.
there's an argument.
Oh
to be
yeah,
made for
Fastos is great.
So can we just like them all? It's fine. Like I give up. No favorite. Bye.
I'm just
I don't
curious.
like Richard Madden.
Robert's just spitting out mine because I didn't say my favorite are also Sprite and Fastos are my
Ooh,
2
okay.
favorite. And
Nice.
I say Fastos is actually my favorite Eternal, but Sprite, I liked her performance and her reasoning, and she brought a lot of comedy to the actress herself,
Yeah.
like the younger
Oh,
actress
yeah.
brought a lot of comedy to the role, and she kind of kept the movie fun when a lot of the other, I feel like when you're an Eternal, you're an immortal being, you kind of like, you're like done with bullshit. You're like, why would I exude any emotion in any way, shape, or form? Because humanity, like I've seen all this before, that type of thing. But she kept it fun and fresh, and so did Fastos, dealing with, especially with his family and everything, like the emotion that Brian Tyree Henry was like showing. Like I loved his whole performance. That did it for me.
That line delivery of fall collection IKEA ass. And I was like, oh, you didn't get that last part of the trailer. That was beautiful.
No,
Let's go.
that's what so me and my brother were talking about before. Like, the problem with that trailer is we're all going to be in the theater and they're going to do that IKEA fall collection line, and we're all going to be like, okay, saw it in the trailer. It's not that funny. But then they added the ass onto it. Like, all right, that's good. Like, it was just the ass made it so much better.
I'm
Like-
having
Weird phrasing.
I'm having a really hard time. I think I got my 2, and then they're not talked about enough, I don't think. But and I'm trying to think who to start out with. I'm going to say Gilgamesh because I had my heart warmed from the beginning by him and the relationship he
Train to
had with
Busan.
Tina, and the fact that he really took it upon himself to take care of her when she was going through the what was it called? It wasn't madness. It was
Her inability to remember.
Mad Kearney or something. What'd they call it?
Mad Weary, I think.
Mad Weary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which was also a really interesting thing. And like, you don't know what it is until you get like 3/4 of the way through the movie. And it's like, oh, her memories precede the Earth memories that everyone else has.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was fascinating. Athena's a great character. I think she might be Lauren's number 1. But then my number 2 is maybe not in that order, but Makari, for so many reasons. She's stunning. She's gorgeous. But also, I took 3 years of sign language in high school. So anytime there's any kind of deaf representation in a film, I love it. She was witty. She had really great expressions. And then I'll get to the simp part of it, which is the super speed that they had on the amount of times that I just looked at Lauren and pointed at the screen. I'm like, this, DC, this is what you want. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what the Flash should look like. It was so well realized. And you basically had Makari taking on a Superman character and kicking the shit out of him for the majority of that battle. And I was like, the Flash is an underrated character. Nobody takes him seriously. And she was my Flash. She became my Flash because
I
Ezra Miller's
saw-
got nothing on her. Quicksilver's got nothing on her.
You'll appreciate this. I actually saw in a review today, like they were talking about normally these super speed characters are portrayed in slow motion. Like they're moving, but everything is in slow motion. But she wasn't. She was at super speed. So like you saw the world fly by her and you got her in motion. And I was like, that's amazing. I really like that. That's a good flip and a really good way to do it. I also have to give like mad props to Cena for that cave scene where she like just swung the sword and then suddenly he's just like,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
was like, ah! Like the whole theater erupted. I was like, holy shit. Okay.
I cried one time in this movie, and it was from Thena. It was Thena talking to Cersei, and she says that when she was with Gilgamesh, and he said that when you love something, you protect it, and it's the most natural thing on earth. And I was like, oh, I'm crying now. This is unexpected.
Right? And it was so good. And like I think the slow exposition really built a better climax. And see, I told you, every time I talk about it or every time I watch something, I start to like it more. And now I'm like, oh, like I also like they made like these references to Cersei as being the hand of Midas, you know, like and she did exactly what she said on the plane when they were filming the fake documentary. Like where, you know,
I can turn a rock into metal, I can turn a rock into
yeah,
water.
well, she turned a metal into rock. She
In terms
turned
of
gold into marble. And I was like,
non-eternal characters, his like valet or butler who had like
Oh
30
my God.
different cameras was the best. So funny. Every
And
time
Frank,
somebody
like, why
pulled
do you have
camera
those
out,
cameras?
that little tiny
know,
one. Like,
like-
how many cameras do you
like,
have on you?
that's my guy right there.
It's like Quran or something.
Yes, I loved it. It's like, and Kingo doesn't get enough credit because he's just really funny. I know because he dips at the climax, but I absolutely loved it. Like,
A lot
and
of people are really upset about that, and to me, again, like almost every complaint that other people have,
Well,
for the most part, is a strength for me because like they all had their own moral obligations, and like he was like, I don't agree with this. I believe in creation over like continuation, but I'm not going to fight my family over it. So I'm just going to, and I think that was an important perspective to have.
like I was saying, it more than villains, I'd argue, like I said before, that the most interesting thing and the real like conflict of this movie is all these characters having a differing opinion on how to handle the climax. And I think his point is super valid. He agrees with a certain way, but he's not going to fight over it. And he chooses pacifism, which is valid. I do think Kumail got jacked for nothing, but
I mean, he did get to fight. He did get to fight.
He didn't get to take his shirt off, and I really wanted that. I was like, have your Star-Lord moment.
Oh, sweet boy, we'll get that eventually. It's okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Like, we got many pictures of Kumail topless on Instagram. It's fine. It's fine. The many Instagram people got to benefit from this. But
well,
like,
speaking of topless, we did get Gemma Chan on top of Richard Madden, which is a first for the MCU.
I did say that earlier. I was like, that was our first.
Didn't Tony sleep with the reporter
Well,
in the
so I was
first
gonna
Iron
say,
Man,
this
though?
is the
Yeah, but
first
she wasn't
Leslie
like
Mann.
it wasn't the
outright. They are moving their pelvis.
Sure.
Yes.
Listen,
Yeah, that
you can
was an
do a lot
actual-
worse than Gemma Chan and Richard Madden.
That is a spicy couple. You know what's funny? Right when that was happening, I just leaned over to Lauren. I was like, "Sexy babies."
I literally, I think earlier I said, well, it's ironic that Cersei gets with, you know, Jon Snow and Robb Stark.
Yeah, with a score by Ramin Djawadi.
It's like,
that's
wow,
true. That's true.
wow. But yeah, I know
It's
a
Game
really-
of Celestial Thrones.
Hey, this is the eternal Game of Thrones. Blah.
I didn't put that together that he did most of the Game of Thrones scores as well.
Yeah,
That's a lot-
he did the
that's-
whole
Yeah, he
thing,
did.
all of it.
You have to think that Chloe Zhao was a Game of Thrones fan. You
Right.
have to.
But I think it's a beautiful movie. Like the cinematography is beautiful. The way
Gorgeous.
that they, the way that they did their powers,
Well,
all the beautiful circles and lines. Oh God,
they
Oh,
actually, so they actually shot on locations. You know, for what it's worth, a lot of recent Marvel movies shot in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Even Shang-Chi, which I love, it created everything for the movie. This shot on actual locations, and you can tell there's a tangible difference.
I will say, not to like pit two movies that I really love against each other. The Eternals third act works better for me than Shang-Chi's, I think. I don't dislike the third act of Shang-Chi, but like I didn't feel the stakes as much. I wasn't as invested in what was going on.
Was it because it was just like a small, like little village and that
Maybe.
was it?
Like I just, and I thought the dragon stuff was cool, but
Should have been Fim Fang Boom.
it was more, yeah. Well, it was like the spectacle was there, but the investment wasn't, I don't think. And I think with Eternals, I got both.
Well, I think because at the end of Shang-Chi, you're very insulated. You're there in that village. You don't actually understand that the whole world is there. At the end of Eternals, you could see the world. Like, you're like, okay, well, this guy's just emerging from it.
Part of why, not to go too much in Shang-Chi, part of why I liked that climax is it really made it about father and son. It didn't have to have world-ending stakes, and I think a lot of Marvel movies were trending so much towards like the fate of the world was in the balance every single time, and here making it really about this village and really about family had this a strong emotional connection. But they're such different movies.
That's something they both had. Was the climax is about family.
Yeah. And I mean, differently, but yeah.
I do want to talk about the Deviants because that is a hot button issue for a lot of people, saying the Deviants were wasted, the Deviants weren't a strong villain. Now, I'm not going to argue that they were strong villains, but I think they serve the purpose, and the purpose is to be a red herring so that you think that the Deviants are the point of the story. They are the clear-cut villains.
This movie doesn't really have a villain, and I think it's stronger for that.
Thank you.
It does not every comic book movie or action movie needs a villain if the conflict stems from other things. Like I beating the dead horse, but the conflict here is differing opinions on how to handle this matter. You could argue that Icarus's choices make him the de facto villain in the climax, but even then it's just a guy doing what he thinks is right based on the agreement he signed up for as an Eternal.
The Deviants
I would have said the Celestials were the ultimate villain.
Yeah, like or specifically the Celestial that was in charge.
Arashim.
Yes.
Arashim, yeah.
But I'm gonna keep making that joke everywhere I go.
I would differ that to say they're not the villains, but the antagonists, because
that's a fair statement.
They're not maliciously trying to destroy the world. They're trying to create the universe. What do we do every morning when we eat eggs for breakfast, right? We have to crack an egg. So it's they're trying to create life.
Yeah,
and
I think that's a fair point, Rachel.
I mean, and something
the
that I heard
eternal fight is internal.
Yeah. Something else that I heard today, was this really interesting point that maybe not all of the Celestials agreed with the way that Arishem was doing, or Arishem, like the way he was doing things. So, because remember in the Unimind, Tiamat had to actually commune with them and make it happen. So he was part of it. So he allowed himself to die.
Okay.
So
he lent his force to her in a way.
Yeah, I thought that was completely interesting and very wild, because it didn't occur to me at that exact moment, because I thought it was just mind-blowing. So it means that not everybody is on the same wavelength as to how the Celestials should be born, which brings up how should they be born.
What do you guys think of the interesting point about Thanos actually saving the Earth or prolonging its doom for 5 years?
I thought that was fun. Let me take a wild guess where you got that. Did you get that from the same place I did? Because
is it an app that...
I watch New Rockstars very religiously.
Oh, okay.
Eric Voss is the best in the game in terms of breaking things down.
I wish I could get almost 1 million subscribers from reacting to his content.
Yep.
I remember reacting in that moment when Salma Hayek's character said that, and I was like, wow, fascinating.
Yep.
I was like,
It's
yeah,
Because
that makes sense.
one of the fascinating, if not great, things about this movie is like as the MCU has gone on, the world has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. I would argue this is like the biggest and most grand we've gotten. It really makes like everything we've seen seem like minuscule by comparison.
Mhm.
Like even Thanos and the blip was like that ain't nothing compared to the
Loki
Celestials
already took the
literally
piss out of
exploding
I
the
would
earth.
say, yeah.
Yeah.
Loki, when they were like, "Oh, yeah, all the Infinity Stones just sit in this drawer," like, who
Yeah.
cares? They're not
Well,
that impressive.
Paperweight.
Phase 4 has basically been like everything you thought was crazy before that ain't shit.
Right.
Just you wait, kids.
Like, let's see the whole universe
But
ready to go.
even the 10 rings are pretty damn impressive.
They are.
Yeah.
And Jesse and I were talking about that too. Like, what does it mean though if when you're thinking about the how irrelevant the Infinity Stones are in Loki, and then the size and scope of the Celestials, but then you also have Doctor Strange and Wanda fucking with the multiverse. So are there multiple universes of Celestials and their
Yeah,
own
he kinda
sets
bent
of
my brain
Infinity
out that
Stones
one.
and
Oh, my head
and which
hurts.
and
Yeah.
I was trying to Dragon Ball Z it. I was like, who is more powerful? Whose power level is higher? Is it someone with
But
all
I
the
mean,
Infinity
if you
Stones?
think about it,
Is it
if
the
you think about it,
Celestials?
they've labeled Wanda as a Nexus being. Nexus beings are beings that can cross over and are the same in every single universe of the multiverse.
Mhm.
So
We'll see
that being
when
said,
they
I would
explore
assume
it
that
finally.
the Celestials would probably be more on a Nexus level, even though you can't really call them Nexus beings. They're Celestials, they're above that. So I would assume that they would be the same, have the same proclivities, birth the same, die the same.
What I
etc.
want answered is how does Galactus compare to Celestials?
Yeah.
Because this movie had me thinking about Galactus a lot.
Isn't
The
Galactus a Celestial?
in the comics, Galactus he's not a Celestial. He's
Yeah,
a
he's a-
mutated. He's a mutated humanoid from another planet, or mutated. He was like
cosmic
created by the
entity.
Celestials, I believe. But he is up there with like all the other big supernatural beings, like the In-Betweener, the Collector, the Living Tribunal, Eternity. All of these are all higher end characters that the Celestials are also like on
And then
par
there's
with.
the one that's like literally called like the one above all.
There's
which is kinda
the
like
one above all that's supposed to be the Marvel God, the Marvel's version of God. If like Mephisto is supposed to be like Satan at some points, there typically also is another character that's more Satan than Mephisto, but whatever. But yeah, one above all is supposed to be like God, which
A lot of
was
people are
always everyone always thought
speculating.
is Stan Lee. Yeah.
A lot of people are speculating that might be where Arsham is taking Cersei, and I have to say, we collectively shit our pants when all of a sudden all the clouds parted and Arsham's just like, "Hello."
Yeah.
We were like, ugh.
Like you're so sure the movie's about to hit credits. I mean, it does, but like you're like, okay,
I was like,
happy
I was
ending.
like, it almost felt like that horror movie thing where like you think the big bad is defeated, but wait, there's more. I was like, hold up, the movie's done. They've reached. Oh, we were just getting started.
You mean y'all
It's all
didn't think
yoink.
of Shao Kahn at the end of 95's Mortal Kombat when the
Well,
clouds
now
parted and
I
he's
will.
right
Now
there?
I will forever think of that. Thank you so much.
But yeah, that definitely did remind me of Galactus in just that shot, because that's how I feel like Galactus should be, even though he'll be miniaturized and.
We love ourselves a giant.
Will he
fart
though?
cloud.
Because he's supposed to eat worlds, right? So he's not quite so miniature.
All the comics and cartoons have made it look like he's still smaller than like a typical New York skyscraper. He's big, but he's still smaller than that.
I'm
that's
ready.
what
I'm ready for the
expecting.
cloud to come.
I wanted to
that
address Rachel's point. Every new Star movie erodes Endgame ever so slightly. Don't know how I feel about that. Well, that's sort of how comics work, right? Like an arc comes to an end, and then new arcs start that may erode, to use her word, what came before it. But the Infinity Saga is still the Infinity Saga. It doesn't really change anything. It just changes the future. You can still view Endgame as its own thing.
I want to
Also,
address this.
Yeah,
Also,
I'm with you.
show of hands, who thinks he's dead?
Oh, I think that iteration of him is dead, but I don't know if you noticed that there were other robots that was like thirsty for
so,
him. Gotta be more than just like him.
Were we supposed to think he's dead?
This is something I've been thinking about too, because Erisham straight up says, I've created, what is it, millions of your group, basically, essentially, right? And I store your memories every time. So essentially, this version of Icarus, yes, is dead. He flew into the sun. So this version of his memories are also going to be gone. And this version of him in the last 7,000 years of this mindset he was in whenever.
And listen,
whenever
Icarus
Ajax
always going to fly too close to the sun, isn't he?
I just
they made
love
up
that
the
this
story
movie,
about him.
Yeah, this movie was like, oh, Sprite made that up.
But he
he
could be recreated with his past version's memories somehow, or just his the same exact personality traits that he had, to begin this whole journey and this mission they were on. And he could definitely
very
come back
intentionally did not make a definitive death.
I literally turned to my brother and said, like right before it happened, I was like, "This motherfucker should fly himself into the sun."
Sean, I gotta ask
his name is Icarus. Of course, he's gonna fly into the sun. It's
no,
like
Sprite
perfect.
made that up. Sprite.
I have to ask Sean. Do you also think Mysterio's dead? Because I feel like it's a similar thing.
I think Gyllenhaal
Sean's wife
is. They said hi.
I do not at all.
No, I think Peter Billingsley is going to be Mysterio and create CGI.
That's another discussion, but I think if you think Quentin Beck is dead, you are a foolish human.
I concur.
I think that's the one. So they just released that new poster today.
It's god awful. That is a horrible poster. It
I
looks
actually think
like
it's great. It's so simple and clean. It's not floating heads. It's a really strong visual.
It
is a teaser
except for it
poster.
wasn't for
the next
really
one will be
bad
floating heads.
Photoshopped Green Goblin in the background. That makes it look like
compared to the Far From Home and Homecoming posters, it's a masterpiece.
Sony is shit at posters.
Yeah, right. And that's why in that regard, I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
See, like, I think it's okay by Sony standards and maybe even Marvel standards, but like if you just take it as a movie poster, I think it's pretty garbage.
I will show you my favorite one, which was this one that I think PJ shared on Twitter earlier. This guy. Tobey Maguire just looks so angry and old. He's like, I don't want to be here.
I would love for Toby to be the Peter B. Parker.
Oh, I was trying to figure out who that was. Oh, hi.
Hi, Chris Clark.
Lola.
I need to address. I got a very generous donation at the beginning of the show, and if you guys were on Twitter or saw in the chat at the beginning, I said, "Hey, if we hit like $25, we'll do we'll show my tier list as a little like cheat sheet for next week, because next week, if you guys don't know, I'm doing this spectacular Swiftathon fundraiser thing so that I can get down to Los Angeles and hang out with everybody at Schmodown Spectacular. So that's next Saturday at 7 p.m. And we came up with some that thing right there.
Your face is an airplane.
And my face is an airplane. It's like JJ the jet plane, just more nightmares.
The more you stare at this, the crazier it gets.
I'm looking at the Spider-Man cover. Like, why that Spider-Man cover? Is that like your favorite Amazing Spider-Man issue, or?
No, I just looked up comic books because I'm doing some giveaways, and I have some of them to the side of me right here, doing some pop figure giveaways and some comic book giveaways and stuff during that event. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I'm going to punch the microphone. That's fun. I'm going to punch it twice.
Do that. That seems like a good idea.
Yeah. Actually, it kicked off the show with a donation. We just got so caught up in the Eternals discussion. All right, so I can show you guys some of this stuff. You can see what you think about it, but no comments will be taken. All right. Apparently, I have it up twice. So nice, I did it twice.
I think she wants food.
Oh, no.
All right, let's see. Can you guys see this? Is this clear for you? I can't see shit.
Yeah, clear enough.
Clear enough, maybe?
Yeah,
If I
sure.
bring this up, I'm going to blow it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to, firstly, get down here. All right. I will Sharpie and I heart whoever the first donation is on Saturday on a white shirt, and I'm going to wear that for the entire show. So that's fun. Another one that'll be going for the entire show is we are 27 subscribers away from 200. So if we hit that, I have a thirst trap photo that is really embarrassing that I took like 6 or 7 years ago, and I thought I would share that. I thought that'd be worth a laugh. So those are just overall ones, and then also the larger
Question.
Yes.
For the thirst trap photo, has Lauren seen it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wanted to get her reaction to it.
I was going to say if they're married, she better have seen it.
Yes, absolutely. No, she's seen all my pictures because I kind of use those mentally as my when I'm trying to lose weight, like my goal pictures.
Oh,
But anyways,
this is lean and mean.
This
All
was
right.
lean and mean, Jesse. This was Jesse at like one.
That's what I need. I need like
73.
pictures of me like back when I was in
I
the
remember
military,
middle
like
school.
all over the wall.
This is not middle school. Okay. And then whatever the largest donation for the night is, they're going to get a Flick and Reel care package, which is probably like a sweater, shirt, and hat or something along those lines. And we'll just mail that to you. We'll reach out to you once we figure out who that is and send those things to you. All right. And everyone's been asking me for weeks and months for wedding photos, and our photographer has been quite slow getting those to us. We have like 10 right now. We are supposed to have the rest of them by the time we do this stream. So at $25, we'll share those. And I might just do it anyways because we got $25 on this stream.
Yay!
And then I did something for this show that I told myself I would never do. 1, because I'm scared. 2, because I'm lazy. And 3, because it's difficult. And that is I have ranked my MCU films for the first time ever. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Full of hot takes, and so we're going to be kind of sprinkling that throughout the stream. So at $50, I start doing that, and start with my bottom 5. And every time we hit a goal, I will do 5 of my ranking overall. And I can't wait to lose subscribers. I am also crafting trivia so that everybody that's on screen at the given time, we have 10 questions based in singles trivia. If you're familiar with the Schmodown, and 10 questions based in inner geekdom or geek movie trivia. And you see each one of these, I'm knocking down 5 MCU films. At $200, we start playing Jackbox. I actually recently did that with Jacob Blendon and Taylor Robinson on their channel. Never really played it before, but I think it's a lot of fun.
It's super fun.
Yeah. Quiplash is a favorite of mine, I think. Because it allows me to
Murder
share
Trivia
points.
Party is the best.
Remind me again.
Which set is that on?
That's on. I have it on my Jackbox. I think it's
I
like
have
on
it- I have it too.
3.
Well,
But-
let's all get different Jackboxes so that we
Oh.
have like the whole plethora, and then we can work.
We can.
on-
We'll come hang out. Trust. Like
Please,
we will.
please. It's an earlier start. We're starting at 7 p.m. PST, and we're probably going to run until midnight or 1.
What date is this?
This is next Saturday night.
What time are you starting this?
We're going to start at 7 p.m. PST, so 10.
We will be back from Disney on Ice.
Oh, you're going to Disney on Ice?
We are going to Disney on Ice on
I
Saturday.
love Disney on
But
Ice.
I mean,
Me-
I mean,
I'm
it's
so
not
excited.
to say that we can't just like log straight in and be the first people, and then it can come. I know exactly what we're doing. I know what he's wearing a shirt for that.
I like how
night.
she rolls up the sleeves too. Like I'm ready to go with this.
All right.
I'm like,
And then there's an original game that I came up with that I still have to write up, but I think it's going to be fun. If we hit 250, we're going to do the Mater Meter game. And what that is I'm going to give you a critic score, an audience score from Rotten Tomatoes, and 4 movies that it could possibly be. And everybody guesses what it is. I thought that would be fun in light of the very shocking Eternals reactions. All right.
Kind
and
of disappointed that you're not doing something with the Larry the Cable Guy character in that.
That's 100% what I thought was happening.
should I have called it Rotten Tomaters?
I think we should have discussed this
Oh my
beforehand.
I was coming here for the Larry the Cable Guy content and not being let down right now.
What's his real name? Dan
But
Whiteley?
don't worry, we'll get
Dan
to your
Whitney.
Larry the
Whitney.
Cable
Yeah,
Guy content
Whitney, there
the
you
day
go.
that we freaking go to Disneyland. It'll be fine.
All right, and 300 is really the goal that helps me cover most of the bills and fines and stuff that it takes to get down there and Uber around and do that stuff.
Did you say fines?
Yeah, nobody knows what kind of
The rest of us call them bills, but
Yeah. Expenses.
expenses. That's the word. Yeah. So celebratory shots. That means the Apple Crown that's been sitting in my fridge for months. I might actually crack into more Jackbox, and then I top off my MCU list at that point. And just for another $25, we're going to go around the table and talk about our guilty pleasure films, which is always one of my favorite things to talk about and be shamed for. $25 after that, favorite canceled shows around the table, whoever's on there. And this one I thought is going to be a lot of fun if we make it up to $400, which I'm not expecting, but that'd be badass. We're going to have a draw-a-thon, and I hope that everyone's as terrible of an artist as I am. Everyone has 10 minutes to draw one of their favorite movies. I haven't decided yet to actually do this on paper or if we're just going to do it on paint and then share it. I'm not sure yet.
Dry erase boards.
I have a whiteboard.
Oh, if we all have whiteboards, we can do it on whiteboards. You have 10 minutes to draw one of your favorite movies with no words or symbols.
That's my last match on it.
So if it's perfect. So if it's like Captain America, no star, so no symbols.
Change the world, guys.
And then we see who can guess what. And then everything after that, if we get past $400, we're going to start the auction. And then you can submit $5 and pick a pop figure or comic book from the collection here. And I do have a list of that. Give me 1 second. Exit full screen. Get out of here. Scroll down a little further. There you go. Yeah, so we have the pop auction. Got some of them put off right here. And I have a list that I'll be sharing on Saturday. And if your name gets called out first, message me your address on Facebook or Twitter, and we will send it out to you. If for some reason everyone's feeling generous, we get up to $450. I got nothing to say other than I'm buying the Guardians of the Galaxy game, and I'm going to do playthroughs on our Twitch channel, and then we're just going to Jackbox until we pass out. That's the tiers. So thank you for the donation so that we could go over that. I had fun sharing it with everybody. Anyways, any other thoughts about Eternals?
It was a movie. Oh, sorry.
Speaking of Twitch,
I was saying
everyone
earlier,
go to my Twitch, our Twitch.
I do like the diversity of the movie. I think they did really good, not only getting like people of different ethnicities, but like people, disabilities, sexual orientation, all of that, like just widely diverse. And I thought they did it very well.
I really argue with anybody that says any of it was forced.
Because it felt natural.
It sure was not.
We don't want to talk about how woke it was, because that was a thing that happened on Twitter today.
I don't like people on a whole. Like, I think I have a very select persons that I enjoy, but people on a whole, I'm not a fan of.
Sometimes,
No.
yeah. A person is smart. People are dumb.
People so much.
I love the shot of Lola looking out from behind my chair like, is he going to give me food tonight or what?
Legit looks like she's photoshopped there.
Like
just
a cardboard cutout.
like a cardboard cut, just standing so
Lola is
still.
like my favorite. I literally watch any Cinefanatics content or like anything that happens in Robert's room for getting tackled in Lola.
I have a question. How much was the
Amazing.
goal for that thirst trap photo again?
1 second. So when we get there,
what are we eating?
Oh, so that one's going to take more work.
Tostitos
The
scoops.
thirst trap is actually a sub goal, so we need to get about 27 subs between now and then. I'm trying to hit 200 that night.
Yeah.
Someone's going to go and create like 27 Gmail accounts real quick.
Listen, I'm just saying, as someone who produces stuff for a living, all of your goals you're aiming too low.
Too low? Well, I have before, because I mean, I did learn a little bit from getting completely blown out of the water when I was like, I hope I make $100, and you guys got me like 17, and I shit my pants. I really like. I'm not looking for a huge charity case. I just want try to get down to California, and I'm like so broke right now that like I need help.
There's an epidemic going on in Seattle. Jesse shits his pants quite often.
Don't do that. Gosh. Hey, I just also want to say I finally got enrolled in TSA PreCheck just now.
Oh, it happened. Yay. So when we fly together next week, we can do it and be like,
We could do clear and PreCheck. Just walk back.
deuces.
Later.
How hard is it to get in the TSA pre-check?
It's not that
it
hard,
usually
it's
takes
just-
less than like it's supposed to take 3 to 5 days. But I started the process on like September 3rd. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
literally been till now.
With COVID and short staffing, there's just been delays getting the approvals. You just have to fill out a form, go have a meeting, show them your ID, and that's it.
Yeah.
So basically, it would be pointless to try to do this in the hopes of getting it done before Spectacular.
You never know.
Could happen.
Yeah.
Maddie,
I mean,
what's up, buddy?
It took, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
normally
Maddie
it
said
takes
he's
3 to 5 days,
gonna-
but it depends on the location and yay, cattail.
I'll say, look, there's some tail.
I mean, I wonder, I have a feeling mine is like sleeping on legs right now. So.
She's about to start like hitting me on the arm.
Oh my God, it's my favorite. Here we go. Here we freaking go.
What's up, Maddie Gunner?
Hey, buddy. Maddie, I know is going to be at Spectacular. Is everyone
Yeah,
on screen
yes.
going to be at Spectacular?
Oh yeah.
Whoa!
It's
Oh.
a possibility.
Robert's frozen.
I'm waiting for it. Oh, she gone. Bye, boo boo.
She
No,
walked away.
definitely gonna
All right, so thank you
Good
so
night,
much
Rach.
for joining us and getting in on the Eternals conversation.
Rachel.
Had a lot of fun. Is there anything anybody's seen recently that they wanted to talk about per se? I mean, Dune has been oversaturated on this channel 300%, but like I enjoyed Last Night in Soho.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've heard a mixed bag, but I
really loved The French Dispatch.
yeah. Tell me about that because I have not seen it and I don't know a whole lot about it other than what a cast.
Yeah, the ensemble is amazing. I mean, look, it's a Wes Anderson movie, and at this point, you know what you're getting with Wes Anderson, which some people call a detriment. I think it's a credit. Like, how many directors are there where you start watching one of their films and you immediately know, oh, this is by them? He has curated over his career such a distinct visual style and language. And
Michael
like this
Bay.
movie, in some ways, yeah.
I mean,
What is
whether
Wes
it's
Anderson if
whether
not
it's
the art house Michael
positive-
Bay, right?
Yes, whether it's positive or not, you know you're watching a Michael Bay.
I love my chair can do the Michael Bay shot too. It's like
Yep.
We got to get the camera up though.
But
camera stationary.
the movie sort of is like an issue of this particular magazine, and it's structured as such into like sections. So there's like an opening section that's like the travel log, which is like a 4-minute vignette, and then there's 3 bigger parts. So there's basically like 3 stories in this movie, like bookended with scenes at the magazine with Bill Murray as the editor telling his writers how to improve the stories. And it keeps using like different types of film stock, different aspect ratios. It goes back and forth from black and white to color. I just found it like funny and also kind of sad and thoughtful and beautiful. I really loved it. And Timothée Chalamet fits in the world of Wes Anderson perfectly. Like he was born to do Wes Anderson movies.
I want to see more of that kid. You know, if he bulked up a wee bit, I think he'd be a solid Dick Grayson.
I can see that.
Solid dick. All right, moving on. I did a double feature of the Conjuring because I think I watched 2 several years ago, and then I didn't watch 1. I think 2's kind of shit. I don't know if that's a common feeling, but like Conjuring 1 was fantastic, and 2 is something.
It's not as good, but I still like it.
Shit might be extreme, but to me, I kept thinking like this feels like a cartoon, like a goofy cartoon. It's not scary. It's silly.
I enjoy it. I like it. The first one is to me like one of the great modern horror movies.
It's funny that Patrick Wilson got to like kick off 2 successful horror franchises.
And now he's directing the 5th Insidious.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I
With
never saw 4.
Ty,
3 was-
it's what's that kid's name? Oh god, he's in Avengers and Iron Man 3. What's that kid's
Ty
name?
Simpkins.
Ty Simpkins.
You were there.
Ty
Simpkins,
Simpkins.
yeah.
I was gonna say Ty Sheridan. Ty Simpkins is coming back, and it's gonna be about him in college.
Mm.
Yeah, Jesse, how'd you watch them?
Netflix.
I mean, your mind said, did you watch them right in a row, boom, boom, or did you?
Oh,
were you
so
late
I
at night?
watched-
Were you?
I watched. It was later. I mean, it gets dark at like 5, so it was dark. But
Have you seen any of the Annabelle movies?
no, we are partially inspired now to go on watching
So-
Conjuring films.
I watched the first one.
The first Annabelle is terrible, and then the second 2 are actually really good.
There's 3 Annabelle movies.
So there's Annabelle, there is Annabelle Origins, and no, Annabelle Creation
and
and
then
then
Annabelle
Annabelle
comes home.
comes home.
Oh, that's right.
And Annabelle Comes Home is basically The Conjuring 2.5 because Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are strong supporting characters in it, and it takes place at their house.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I'm interested.
I think Annabelle Comes Home is a better Conjuring 3 than The Conjuring 3, actually.
I think The Nun depends on what you want out of that movie, because I did see that by myself in theaters, and I was like, this movie is hilarious.
I really hated The Nun. It is
about,
hilarious, but for all the wrong ways for me.
What about the Curse of La Llorona?
It's okay.
I don't know much about that movie.
That's
I
actually
know-
one I've seen, and it was okay.
Yeah, it's sort of a stealth Conjuring movie, but it's fine.
Yeah, I went to the premiere of it at South by, and I was like, and everyone in the theaters, like, I guess, like, I've never been to like movie premieres except for this one South by we went to, and I guess it's like a normal thing that everyone's like cheering and clapping and like rooting super hard for it, even though the movie may be like, eh. Like we left there, I left there and I was like, that wasn't that good.
On the note of clapping, I do have something that makes me want to circle back to Eternals really quick. I don't have a lot of love for my state. I'm kind of indifferent towards it. Washington is, I know a lot of people like it or like visiting and stuff because of Seattle, but being here for 28 years, I'm kind of hot and over it. And a lot of people say that's like one of the more accepting places and things like that. But I was watching Koi Jandra and the Rejects talk about their experience watching Eternals. And in the scenes with Fastos and his husband, there was general applaud in the theaters at their showing. I got groans. So that's I don't like it here. I want out.
Move to California, where everything's way more expensive.
I was like, come to where I'm at. No, never mind.
No.
Don't come to Texas.
I mean, everybody where I was kind
I
of
won't.
cheered,
Sorry.
but I mean, I was at Disney World. Oh, yay, Lola. Hi, boo-boo.
I can't say what was happening in the theater. I have no idea. I know that the person sitting 3 seats to my left, pretty sure they gave me COVID because they wouldn't stop coughing for like 20 minutes straight.
It was
That's
a
all that
pretty
happened in my
quiet theater. I love that my wife has much better vocal recognition than the majority of the internet, because when we watched the second post-credit scene, she turns to me and she's like, "That's Mahershala."
I
was
did the
like,
same
"What?"
thing. I turned to my friend and I was like, "That's Mahershala."
And then I heard several people coming out of the theater. I know that Sean and some folks, and there was articles already being written. Jeffrey Wright, The Watcher, and I was like, I'm gonna side with Lauren, because every time we're watching a cartoon or something animated, she knows the cast without looking at it. And so when she's like, "That's Mahershala," I was like, "Okay." And then Chloe Zhao was like, "That's Mahershala." Anyways, so Blade is officially in the MCU.
In a way, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think it was just because it was so quick and unexpected that we didn't really know So I just jumped to the Watcher because that made the most sense with how cosmic, and we had obviously just watched What If, and so that was just the voice. Plus, he was Justin James Bond, and I wasn't expecting Mahershala to show up.
No, I wasn't expecting it either.
And
I think,
as much as I love the comics, I didn't know that there's a connection between Blade and Black Knight. So I was like, it makes no sense for Blade to be talking right now.
I thought they might have been part of like the Midnight Suns or something. I think we were talking about that the other day, but maybe they.
I think they've done some Dark Avenger stuff together. We can all agree, though, that the sequel should be called The Returnals.
well, now
you can sell me on that.
Marvel, pay the man. And then we can have a crossover of the Returnals versus the Revengers.
Yes.
Maddie says, I knew it was him, and I'm annoyed that I didn't see him. Yeah, I mean, could they have done, like, could I just have
he could have done this on his phone and emailed it in.
Right.
I would have loved a trench coat silhouette. That's enough, right? Because then you're like, that's Blade. That's obviously Blade.
Sure.
Anyways,
I do
how do we feel about
see
Harry Styles? Because I'm into it.
I love that casting.
Yeah.
I said earlier, I'm not a fan of like One Direction or his music, but like him casted as Star Fox is perfect. That's one of my favorite MCU castings.
I just watched him on SNL for the first time. He's hilarious.
Yes.
And I did that because of Sean's recommendation.
Yeah.
Harry Styles is a funny, funny man.
I haven't seen Dunkirk, so I don't know his acting. The only thing I've seen him in is SNL, is his SNL performances. And he's very charming, and he was always great in all the skits. And
he is incredibly charismatic.
Yeah, and I heard the spoiler, 2 weeks ago or so, and so I've been thinking about it, since then, like, oh, I wonder what kind of character it's going to be, But like everything he did on screen, it played into all of his strengths, whatever his personality, his strengths are, and I think it's going to be fantastic as far as, and I know nothing about the character.
Lauren,
Robert, what you said about his
should we start calling you Black Robert?
I guess.
He's got the ability to persuade people to do what he wants. But yeah, like
so does Harry
everyone
Styles,
always,
ironically.
Yeah. That's why I was like, not only does he look like this character, but like that connection there is kind of suspicious. But yeah, like primarily everyone calls him out for his ability to talk women into coming home with him. Like, that's very dicey right now, especially for the MCU to be tackling a character that's known for that. But I mean, obviously we didn't see any hint of that in this. Yeah. And if I'm pretty sure we're going to see him again. They're probably not going to dive into that pretty much at all.
Yeah, he might just be really charming, which is what he seemed to be.
Yeah, have some sort of actual physical powers, physical strength of some kind.
What cracked me up is I never knew much about Harry Styles, and Lauren via TikTok has just exposed me to a lot of Harry Styles stuff because the ladies be thirsty. But what was funny is she's like, I know the leak, and I was like, don't tell me. She's like, I need to tell you. And I was like, what's the character? So she told me Eros, and I looked him up because I was very familiar with him. And then once I saw Star Fox, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of him. I just don't know a whole lot. But I looked at the picture, and I was like, why am I getting Harry Styles vibes? And I was like, okay, who's playing him? And she's like, Harry Styles. I was like, no shit. All right. So yeah, I agree. I think that's perfect casting. I'm excited to see more from it. Getting all these Marvel movies reminds me how hard it is to deal with the post-credit scenes and not have payoff for like years.
Right.
It's painful.
Oh yeah, remember that thing that happened 4 movies ago? And
oh, you mean like Adam Warlock's freaking, what do you call it? Cocoon in Guardians 2, 2017.
I do like that they introduced Pip the Troll in this one, because Pip the Troll has like direct connections to Adam Warlock. So
Adam Warlock, and I read the Infinity Gauntlet comic in preparation for Infinity War, and Pip is all over that.
Yeah, the Infinity Watch afterwards.
I want Pip the Troll and Michael Pena's Luis to jump through the history of the MCU and explain what has happened. Give us a catch-up video.
Well, there was this bartender at this one place this one time where he was saying like,
I think that's kind of it. Is there anything else about Eternals? I mean, we actually managed to run this about an hour and a half, so right on.
Woo! We did it.
Thanks for coming through, guys.
I mentioned on like the show they were doing earlier. Let's see what y'all thought of the Pink Floyd song playing at the beginning of the Marvel logo.
Yeah, that was great. That's fun.
It fit the movie.
Glorious.
Yeah,
It did.
that's the second time a Pink Floyd song has been used in the MCU. The first one was Doctor Strange, where he's getting ready for the party at the beginning to Interstellar Overdrive. Like, that's so good.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I'll do a little one small cheat, or not cheat, but reveal, because one of the things I'm doing for next week is my MCU ratings. I can tell you where Eternals is, what number it is. After much consideration, out of 26 films, it's number 9.
Ooh.
Okay. Top 10.
I didn't know it was going to be top 10. It surprised me.
I just reworked my list. I have it at 15 right now. Right about the middle. But more so than almost any other MCU movie, it's one where I feel like with more watches and as time, it could go up in esteem because it is the word of the day. It is dense and rich and interesting and thoughtful.
Ooh, I need to update my MCU film ranking on Letterboxd.
I don't like
I have
to rank it
use
with
my Letterboxd.
one viewing, but I want to rewatch it. And
That's
I've never sat down and ranked. I don't think ranked my MCU movies.
I haven't. I just really have actively avoided it. But I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time to do it.
I do need to watch Eternals again.
I got some hot takes.
A lot of the internet likes to make
Not fall
everything is
asleep.
either the best or the worst.
Right.
There's no nuance nowadays. Everything's either the world is ending or everything's perfect. And with the MCU, not a single movie is less than a 6 out of 10 for me. Like even Thor 2, even Iron Man 3, they're all. If I see them on TV and there's nothing else to like, if I'm not looking for something else to watch, I'm like, I'll sit and watch this. I'm not going to turn it off.
Only one I don't go back to and will probably flip the channel on. And it feels to me like the least essential and the most forgotten, and that's The Incredible Hulk.
I will say that without giving away what they are, my number 1 and my number 26 are pretty predictable. It only gets interesting like kind of in the middling areas, I think.
I think that your number 26 is a lot of other people's favorable movies.
I think there's one that is some people's number 1s that's in my bottom 5. So we'll talk about that.
I have a feeling I know what you're talking about, though. Maybe.
What? People's number 1s and your bottom 5.
I've heard several people say it's their number 1 MCU film, and it's.
I have a feeling it is my number 1.
Well, we won't talk about that here, but hopefully we can talk about it.
Okay, Jesse, without you spoiling yours, Maxwell, what is your number 1 movie?
Thor Ragnarok.
I will just say I really like Thor Ragnarok. So
okay,
I was going to say I think we talked about that, and I knew you liked Thor Ragnarok, and I'm still convinced I beat Robert in a Thor Ragnarok quiz. So that's fair.
The scoring on that was suspicious.
We scored it, and
we rewatched it, and Amber won.
Wait, what was this on? I don't even remember this.
It was a Nerd Chronic quiz.
Yeah.
I got third place.
One of those.
I got third place. Amber got second, and Robert got first. But we went back and rewatched it, and I'm pretty sure Amber actually won.
And we called them on the scoring, and they were like, "No, it's right." And we're like, "Are you sure about that?"
That's
Robert's over here
pulling screwed you over on.
Pulling a Bobby's father. Bobby, I was high when I said that. There's second, third, fourth, fifth.
Listen. I'm not saying you should watch our Chronicles of our Disneyland Day, but you should probably watch our Chronicles.
If you want to see two people that know too much about a movie, when we were on Nerd Chronic, it was me versus Lauren on Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh my god!
Me versus Amber on Hamilton was kind of insane.
Oh
We
my
were-
God,
Again,
terrifying.
picture
The
bloody boobs.
closest person to us was Adelia, and she was like 10 points behind me. And it was
I should not have won that quiz, but whatever.
the last question was tiered, and you had to get 4 answers. And if you missed one, you lost all the points. And it was like it went from like, what was it, like 1, 3, 5, 10, and I'm like, this is not fair. This is bullshit. I was like, yeah, because I got 3 of them, and he got all 4, and I'm like, I was writing down the last one at that time. He didn't give enough time to write it down. I'm gonna complain about this forever. Through things.
I still haven't watched Hamilton,
What?
or at least I haven't finished it. I started it. I just didn't.
I
finish
have
it.
watched it start to finish at least 6 times.
Okay, I've watched the musical on some sort of device at least over 100 times.
I can
I
say I've
have
listened
seen
to
it.
it over 100 times.
I've seen it live thrice. So
I've seen it
come
live
for me.
13 times.
13 times. Yes, I know.
Twice was with you.
I know. Both times with no obstructions in front of us. Absolutely stunning.
I buy good seats. What can I say?
And I saw it with the same Eliza twice. Once in Tampa, once on the stage at the Rogers.
I'm not
so
saying
good.
I'm staring at a window card from the public signed by the entire cast, but am saying that.
Robert, I will consider this the official invitation just because we haven't had a lot of communication prior to this, but you are more than welcome to come on that stream if you have time. More the merrier. On Saturday.
Cool.
He's like,
I can't remember what's going on Saturday.
We'll all be hanging out. That's what's happening.
We'll be hanging out
Saturday
at
now.
7
It's
PT.
okay. I'll make sure to have enough drinks to not know if you're there or not.
6 days from now.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, I typically get up pretty early on Mondays, but let's do plugs. Some of us are big fans of plugs, right? So, Sean.
Right.
Other than
it's above me. It's been there the whole time.
That's right. You can find Sean at Twitter at Sean Wingblade, and also on Twitch occasionally watching with Wingblade. And anywhere else?
No.
In his office being Moby. Robert, where can the folks find you?
You can find me with Cinefanatics, youtube.com/Cinefanatics, at Cinefanatics MLP on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You could also find me feeding my cat here in a few minutes, and then quickly followed by laying in that bed right there.
Hey.
Must be the money.
Amber.
If you want to go and take a ride.
All right. Well, I'm Takara Kanashi on all of social media.
From the
TV. From the TV. You can find me on the Let's Get Ready Network. I do a lot of things there. The Off the Rails Network. When we do things, when we do things, I do things there. The Let's Go Rangers Network. So I also mod for Video Drew and some Chris Adams guy on
Who's
YouTube
that?
and right. The lesser of the 2 brothers, apparently.
Obviously.
He's gonna hate me. I'm like, I mod for Video Drew on YouTube and Discord. I tell Garth to pick his name up or that name up because he drops them all the time. Ridiculous. And then I am the only mod on Chris's Twitch that doesn't get timed out 95% of the time.
Because you're a good person, Amber.
The best.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Maxwell.
You can find me on Twitter at Cinemaxwell, Instagram Cinemaxwell Inc. I, alongside Amber, executive produce the Let's Get Ready Network under our company Ember Productions. I'm on the Off the Rails Network. We did our first Unwind tonight in many months. We're hopefully going to bring that back twice a month going forward. And I think we're going to be doing some Merry Movie Squad watch-alongs upcoming in the next few weeks. I also mod for Video Drew's Network. I also mod for Sully's Twitch. I bring this up because he's back streaming, and you'll frequently find me in the voice chat there when he is streaming, being annoying. I compete in the FCL. Now. We're in the off season, but if you didn't watch those matches and you want to go back, check it out. We got the People's Champ right here, Mr. Sean Wingblade. We got the #1 contender loser, myself. It's fine. I'll come back even stronger next season.
And
did
a
beat
member of one
Robert.
of the strongest teams next year.
That should be the real
Yeah.
championship.
I
Ooh.
competed.
My team is gonna beat your team.
Hey, you know what
Mad
else?
cow.
You know where else you can find us? On Thanksgiving Day, on whatever
yeah.
channel airs the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Ooh,
We're both going to be in it. I'm on the vehicle crew for the Diaries of a Wimpy Kid balloon, and Maxwell is handling on the candy cane.
Yes. So you'll see me in my white jumpsuit walking down New York City with that big old candy cane balloon.
To
And
drop my
I'm-
cat off.
And you're going
I-
to see me in a black jumpsuit running literally alongside a golf cart, tapping a rope. That's going to happen.
did you did you have to like apply, or how do you just sign up and hope that
You
they
need a
meet enough
referral,
people?
basically.
Okay.
You need to have a referral to do the parade. I actually was a pilot for Universal, so I worked at Universal Orlando Resort as a Macy's pilot. I started as a handler. I did one parade as a handler, and then they were like, "Do you want to be a pilot? You're smart." I was like,
Oh,
"Okay."
and I think I'm going to take this opportunity to announce something that's coming up next year. Amber and I are launching our own YouTube channel called Ember Productions sometime in the first quarter of next year. So stay tuned for a lot more information about that.
I
Okay.
wanna
You heard it
now.
here first, folk. We like breaking news at 3:39 a.m.
Woo! We haven't said it anywhere else. Yay!
All right. Well, kind of like what Sean said, you can find me up there at Jesse Swift.
That's me in a Thor costume. Thanks, Joey.
Sure. Thanks for coming through here. And you can find me specifically Sunday nights at 11 p.m. PST, much to Sean's chagrin, and also Mondays at 11 a.m. doing news and views with my good buddy Scott Fox. And tomorrow, just to give you a preview of the topics, we will be talking about Eternals and what we think of that Spider-Man poster, how much it makes us want to puke, what are we watching and reading, and also
I
the
like
release of the first synopsis
I like
of the Batman. So that will be fun stuff to do. And then, of course, next Saturday, we will have the spectacular Swiftathon, I think it's called. Where's that graphic? Bring that bad boy up here. Where is it? It's this thing. And everyone has commented on the chaos of it. Yes, it's true. All right, guys. So
Glorious.
I hope that everyone had a super good time here. Robert, thank you for coming on. Maxwell, Amber, it's awesome to have you come on here and talk Eternals. I love all the takes, and I love that not everyone loved everything, but there wasn't shitting, because my brain just, I can't with that. So appreciate you guys. John, as always, thank you for being my late night buddy. That sounds fun. All right, it's time for me to go to sleep.
Yeah,
And definitely time for the people here on the bottom to go to sleep. So
so you
with-
think?
with that, I hope everyone had a good time here, and keep it real. Follow us on all of our audio platforms: Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us 5-star reviews. It is very important. We're trying to break out on that side of things. Enjoy doing that. And that is the only place you can find our fresh out of theater reactions. So please, all the links are in the description. Also, if you want this cool thing right here, it's really cool, like Flick Real shirt. And you don't want to donate, you can just buy it outright on the product link that's on the bottom of the description.
I thought we were going to see a thirst trap.
No, right now? No,
That
dude,
was-
this is jelly rolls. You might get hungry, but this is no thirst trap.
I feel like you underestimate me.
All right, guys. Keep it real. Thank you so much. And